Mario for Nintendo, Pikachu for Pokemon, Billy Ray Walrus for TripleJump. These are just a handful of examples of famous mascots from the world of video games, or video game adjacent YouTube channels. A mascot is a character that serves as the public presence of a developer, publisher, or even a specific console. A friendly face to help cover up all the murky business dealings that go on behind the scenes every day. Though they had their heyday in the 90s when discussions about whether Mario or Sonic would win in a fight dominated playgrounds, mascots are still important today, as anyone who's ever seen an advert for PlayStation or Nintendo will tell you. But for every Crash Bandicoot, there must be a Crash-and-Burn-dicoot, a fictional creation who, for whatever reason, failed to capture the imagination of Joe and Jane Public. Whether they were on the wrong system, came along at the wrong time, or were just plain bad, these 10 aspiring emblems just didn't have it in them. I'm Peter from TripleJump, and here are 10 failed video game mascots. Number 10. Alex Kidd, Sega. To call this lovable little guy a failure might seem a bit harsh, but all will become clear once you realise who he was up against. Alex Kidd, who is shockingly a kid called Alex, debuted on the Sega Master System in 1986 and was pushed hard as the Blue developer's biggest character. Alex Kidd in Miracle World has a pretty complicated backstory for a mascot platformer, full of far-off kingdoms, kidnapped royalty, and lost princes, but the gameplay was pretty simple. Punch enemies, and try not to get punched by enemies. Happy days. Miracle World was popular enough to secure young Master Kidd 4 more outings on the Master System and 1 on the Mega Drive. But in 1991, a new rival emerged from, out of the blue. Sonic. It was Sonic. The Hedgehog's arrival almost instantly displaced Kidd from the top spot, with 1990's Alex Kidd in Shinobi World being the final original title to feature the character. Unfortunately for Kidd, Sonic gave Sega everything they wanted in their own version of Mario. And whilst Alex's games may well have been good, the character himself just wasn't anything all that special. I mean, he's literally just a person, hardly the most original idea compared to most other mascots. Number 9. Wild Woody, Sega. Sticking with Sega for now, but this time we're looking at a character who debuted after Sonic's first game, so they really should have known better. In 1995, the company released a game specifically for the CD add-on to the Mega Drive, the Mega CD. By this point, the hardware was floundering, so it needed a real jolt of electricity if it was going to pull itself out of the gutter. Unfortunately, what it got was an innuendo in the form of a walking, talking, writing implement. The game Wild Woody focused on its title character, a pencil with Mickey Mouse arms and legs, a name that implies, well, I'll leave that up to you, and a psychopathic look on its face that just screams, "Buy this for your kids." Woody, as he was known, could use his eraser end to rub enemies away and his lead end to create items and helpers with which to navigate levels. Now these aren't bad ideas at all, but poor controls, graphics, and level design made the whole thing a laughingstock upon release. Sega's attempts to create an enduring mascot for the CD had failed, and that device would be discontinued just 4 months after Woody's debut. We'd say we felt sorry for them, but come on, a talking pencil? Who on earth was going to buy that? Number 8. Karnov, Data East. From 1976 to 2003, Japanese developer Data East produced well over 100 video games for a variety of consoles, from arcade cabinets to the original PlayStation. One character that popped up in a number of their titles was Karnov, but how successful was he? Well, it may not have escaped your notice that I gave you both a start and end date for the company's lifespan, so you figure it out. Karnov debuted in a self-titled 1987 arcade game. A Soviet strongman with more muscles than a seafood counter, the eponymous behemoth is pitted against a variety of obstacles on a quest for a mysterious treasure, which he must overcome using his gigantic biceps and ability to breathe fire. Is this what you can do when you get really ripped? Man, I need to go back to the gym. However, for all his strengths, literally, Karnov was never given another solo outing. He was instead absorbed into Data East's Fighters History series, serving as the boss for the first 2 games. Impressive, but indicative of the fact that he wasn't good enough to carry a franchise on his own. It's a shame, really, because it's probably about the only thing in the world he couldn't carry. Never mind. Number 7. Jersey Devil, Megatoon. In North American folklore, the Jersey Devil was a mythical kangaroo-like creature with wings, horns, and a blood-curdling scream. Sounds like the perfect mascot for a video game series, am I right? Well, Megatoon Studios, known today as Behavior Interactive, certainly thought so, as they not only made the beast the main protagonist of their 1997 3D platformer, but they also named the thing after it. Looking more like a bat with anger issues, this devil is out to stop the villainous Dr. Narf, who controls an army of dinosaurs. Oh, and mutated vegetable monsters. This guy really needs to pick a theme and stick with it, I think. The similarities between Jersey Devil and a certain spinning marsupial are not insignificant. Both games open in pretty much the exact same way, with an evil scientist attempting to perform experiments on the hero before they escape. Crash Bandicoot had been out for a full year before this game released on the same console though, so it was going to need to be something very special in order to overtake it. Spoilers, it wasn't. There's an old expression about giving the devil their due, but this time, we think you'll be alright to skip that. Number 6. Punky Skunk, Yuki-Yote. Did you get the feeling that Yuki-Yote came up with the name of this mascot first and then tried to work everything else around it? Because I do. Yuki-Yote, a short-lived Japanese developer, was the brainchild of Kenshi Naruse, who also came up with the idea for this foul-smelling mascot. Naruse wanted to create a new platforming hero aimed at children, the most spend-happy of demographics, and settled on the idea of a heroic skunk battling a wolf intent on polluting their island home. And yes, the irony of a creature known for emitting disgusting smells fighting pollution is not lost on us. All these standard platforming tropes are here: side-scrolling levels, power-up items, mini-games to earn extra lives, but that was the problem. Punky Skunk was really a very basic platformer and nothing more, with reviewers concluding that even kids would find it frustratingly simple. This 16-bit Pepe Le Pew flopped hard, and Yuki-Yote never returned to the world of children's games. In fact, by 2002, 6 years after Punky's release, they would be out of business entirely. I'm not suggesting this game was the only reason for that, but I am suggesting that it may have contributed. Number 5. Titus the Fox, Titus France. From one friendly countryside creature to another now, albeit one that smells a little bit better. Titus the Fox to Marrakesh and back released for a range of home computers in 1992. Titus was the handiwork of French developers Titus France, who, yes, did name their own mascot after themselves. And people say the games industry has an ego problem. The game originally starred French comedian Le Gaffe and was used as a vehicle to advertise his song La Zoubida before Titus said, "Nah, you're alright," and reskinned the whole thing with their own logo instead. Titus must rescue his lady love by travelling across the Sahara Desert, dodging feral dogs and giant bees all the while. It's more standard platforming action, with a focus on stacking items in order to get over high walls, which is just as thrilling as it sounds. A later Game Boy port reviewed fairly well, but Titus the Fox quickly fell out of the public eye, never to return. Titus France would continue to publish games though, including the legendarily bad Superman 64, before going under in 2005. Honestly, with a back catalogue this bad, it's amazing they even made it into the 21st century. Number 4. Awesome Possum, Tengen. We've had foxes, we've had skunks, so it only makes sense that we now talk about a possum. You know it makes sense. Wait, does that make sense? Does anything make sense? Why am I even here? Philosophical debates to one side, let's discuss this Mega Drive offering from Tengen, a publisher and developer originally created by those mad lads over at Atari. As well as a home port of Miss Pac-Man, the company produced the 1993 game Awesome Possum... kicks Dr. Machino's butt. I have no idea what that ellipsis is doing there. Is it meant to be a surprise that he's kicking Dr. Machino's butt? Is it even pronounced Machino? Who knows the answer to any of these questions? Awesome Possum, which doesn't rhyme in British English, brilliant, alongside his painfully 90s friends Killer Bee and Rad Rhino, must prevent the Earth from falling into Machino's cold metallic hands. The game has a strong environmentalist stance, with extra points earned by answering quiz questions about nature. Now this might have worked in the modern day, but 1993? No chance. Who cared about the environment before the millennium? You think I'm joking, but the game was dismissed as being preachy, with its poor graphics, muddy sound quality, and bad levels also flagged. This was the Possum's one and only venture, which is anything but awesome. Number 3. Zool, Gremlin Graphics. Before 80s film nerds get too excited, this Zool is not the Zool that serves as the antagonist in the first Ghostbusters film. That character's name is spelled with 2 U's instead of 2 O's, which I'm told makes all the difference. Instead of a ghoul bent on destroying the world via the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, our Zool is the ninja from the Nth Dimension, if this game's subtitle is to be believed anyway. Flipping his way onto the scene in 1992, this pitch-black blobby thing was designed as a rival for Sega's Sonic, who debuted the previous year. At first, things looked promising, as the original Zool game opened to good review scores, enough for British developers Gremlin Graphics to make a second one. The sequel was also well received, as it maintained the original's strong visuals and crisp controls, but for whatever reason, that was it for the ninja. Perhaps it was that Zool's main systems, the Amiga and the later Atari Jaguar, were doomed consoles. It eventually ended up on the Game Boy and various Sega systems, but they were hardly going to push a character that had been designed to damage their profits. Now were they? Number 2. Glover, Interactive Studios. Glover is... well, he's just a glove. In fact, he's a glove with only 4 fingers, because another one would have complicated things to high buggery, and a pair of eyes that look like they were drawn on in about 5 seconds. What on earth were his designers thinking? Developed by Interactive Studios, later known as Blitz Game Studios, Glover follows the anthropomorphized handwear on his mission to restore balance to a magical kingdom by locating its lost crystals. And based on that description alone, I think these weren't the only crystals doing the rounds in the interactive offices. Released for the Nintendo 64 in 1998, Glover actually performed quite well, with critics happy with pretty much everything about it. Any franchise potential was squandered, though, when a logistical error forced publishers Hasbro to cancel the release of a planned sequel. Who knows what might have happened had this boo-boo not occurred? Maybe we would have gotten a whole glove-themed universe of games. Glove amusement parks in the real world, glove t-shirts, glove baseball caps, and even glove gloves, with a cross-promotional deal with Michael Jackson. Actually, maybe it was a good thing the sequel was cancelled. Things could have gotten weird. And number 1, Bubsy, Accolade. Here he is, everybody, the one character guaranteed to come up when talking about bad mascots. The one and only Bubsy. A bipedal version of a bobcat, an animal far too cute to be associated with this disaster, Bubsy ruthlessly tore his way into our lives in 1993 with a game called Claws Encounters of the Third Kind. You can already see this isn't going to end well. Whilst not a bad game, Bubsy's debut had been so heavily hyped that this average first title was a disappointment to many. Things only got worse from there though, with the litter truly hitting the fan in 1996 with the release of Bubsy 3D, widely considered to be one of the worst video games ever made. That being said though, for all of his irritating catchphrases, childish traits, and subpar adventures, this frustrating feline isn't technically a failure. He's been in 6 games and even got a pilot for an animated TV show, which isn't too bad. But look, it's bloomin' Bubsy, the byword for stupid video game characters, almost universally hated by any gamer with even half a brain. And let's face it, those aforementioned games only got as many eyes on them as they did because of how badly he'd failed in the past. He may have done some decent business for those who benefit from him financially, but we will never forgive developer Accolade for bringing him into the world.